Obama in the Middle East trying to bring the United States and the Muslim world together, Rush Limbaugh compares the president to al-Qaida. Our fourth story in the countdown, the increasingly dangerous voice of boss Limbaugh. This is the same man who has said a number of times he wants this president to fail. He repeated that yesterday on television, along with this.
You know, this is something that I thought long and hard about repeating in this interview with you. If al-Qaida wants to demolish the America we know and love, they better hurry, because Obama's beating them to it.
Hey, we missed the lead. Limbaugh claims he thought, almost incidental, that the incendiary claim would be made after two tapes from al-Qaida in the last 3 days, including one believed to be from bin Laden himself, that also try to undermine the president's visit. Seems like the people on the same side of this equation are al-Qaida and the Excellence in Broadcasting Radio Network. Meantime, according to Tom Sanderson, deputy director at the Center for Strategic and Traditional Studies, quote, Obama's election is just about the worst thing that could happen to al-Qaida. They knew right away that his election undermined a key part of their argument that the U.S. was anti-Islamic, that the U.S. was racist. Time now to bring in MSNBC political analyst Gene Robinson, also, of course, associate editor and Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist of The Washington Post. Gene, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
I fear when I ask a question like this. I've asked it so many times before, I'm wondering if I'm going to risk matching the Limbaugh status as a broken record or a jammed CD for the younger folk. But didn't he cross a line here?
Yeah, sure. He crossed a line. He danced across the line. He vaulted a line. I mean, now, is it the first time he crossed a line? I don't think so. We'd have to go back through the kind of greatest hits is not that's kind of an oxymoron where this is concerned. So the kind of, the lowest moments of the Limbaugh oeuvre. But to find something, comparable to this, but really, when the president is in Egypt speaking to 1.5 billion Muslims trying to set that relationship on a different course, to compare it to al-Qaida is just stupid and absurd and outrageous.
Is there a policy point here, or does this just go back to that dangerous component from the campaign of last year to try to build up this phony association in people's minds, in the smaller minds of the country, between Obama and terrorism, only there's no John McCain even to politely tell the crazy lady in the front row, who is in this case Limbaugh, to sit down and shut up?
Did you hear a policy point? Because I didn't hear a policy point.
I haven't, honestly.
I
met him in 1980. I haven't heard a policy point since from this man.
Well, certainly in this context, I'm pretty sure there was not one. It wasn't a matter of policy. The phony association, Obama, Osama, that whole thing, that must be part of it, I would imagine, but it also is part and parcel of this reflexive bash campaign that Limbaugh has been carrying on, and maybe it's good for his bank account. It's not particularly good for the country, but it seems to do him pretty well. Well,
let me ask you a question about him and about his bank account. A question about the philosophy of opinion. You're in that business. I'm in, to some degree, that business. Whether we like it or not, Limbaugh's in that business. One of the tenets, I thought, was you speak your piece and you stand behind it. And yet, here was some crank on this network today, again talking about Limbaugh's plea not to be mentioned on MSNBC for 30 days. If equating to the President of the United States and an international terrorist group is a good idea, if it's worthy of being hurled out into that public space, doesn't the guy who does the hurling, doesn't he have to stand behind it and accept analysis of it and criticism of it? I mean, doesn't Rush Limbaugh either have to shut up or grow a pair?
There's quite a way to put it. Yes. As a matter of fact, he does. In fact, if you're in the opinion business, you're going to tell people what's on your mind, and yes, you have to defend it, and you're going to take shots, and people are going to call you on it when you say something that's absurd, that's out of line, when you say things without even trying to back them up, when you say things that are inappropriate. That's not going to wash.
Yeah, and it's a marketplace of ideas. You don't get a monopoly over here on one side of it. Eugene Robinson, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist and contributor to the vast marketplace of ideas from the Washington Post, also of MSNBC. As always, great thanks, Gene.